Record recording is now in progress. Okay, so people will hear the thing you say now. I was just see we talking about going to bed. I just I went to bed last night, woke up this morning, and was like, oh, I was supposed to post the new episode of this podcast. So if anyone's listening, wondering why it was a few hours late, that's why. Oh crap, I gotta do it. See, yeah, yeah. It's because I was doing like 10 podcast episodes all at once, so it just kind of slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, you're always so busy.
But in the mornings, it's all morning stuff. I don't, in the night, I just have to like watch stuff for this, which I'd probably be watching something anyway. And I've been a bunch of unwatched movies because with the American credit card power right now. So if the Blu-ray says it's like, 1,400 yen, which sounds like 14 bucks, on Amazon, if I use my American credit card because the yen is garbage right now, it comes out as like 8 or 9 bucks.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I've gotten a slight addiction to buying really cheap DVDs or Blu-rays while I can.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like you'd be someone who'd be like more physical media, or are you a streamer? I don't know.
No, I'm physical media. Like I'm trying to find the things that are inevitably going to slip through the cracks when streaming stops streaming or things that never make it to streaming. Like, I mean, I still have Laserdisc for that reason too. So yeah, I'm pretty partial to physical media. And I read an article that said that, a lot of people are like, well, physical media is dead, but there's this nice little, boutique Blu-ray business now that's sort of where people who love physical media and don't want it to end are getting all those Blu-rays with the special features and like so there's this little renaissance there for special Blu-rays, but I guess we'll see what happens.
I think, things that are in the back of your mind, like what, a year and a half ago, I was like, man, I'm tired of all these superhero and Star Wars movies. And now that's like the popular narrative. Like we're all tired of it. Like we all got tired of it
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. And I feel like right now people are kind of warming back up to like at right now CDs and DVDs or Blu-ray, right? Because as
Mm-hmm.
it's like what is it if you want to watch the Minions movies, which I don't, but if you want to, you have to have like three different streaming services to watch all of them.
I actually want to see the next one that comes out. I didn't get on the bandwagon until later, but it is kind of cute. I think 4th of July is when the fourth one's coming out. So we're making an excuse to go to the movie theater to see that because,
No, my house we have a permanent grudge against the Minions because we loved Megamind, and then Megamind
oh,
is like a forgotten movie. So we're like and it was like the same year that it's one of those things where the two similar movies came out together, and Megamind just like been memory hold, and we're like we're not happy about that. So
all right. I'm writing that down and I will watch it so that I can join your camp.
there you go. But yeah, yeah, David Cross is the Minion. There's only one Minion of Megamind, which is voiced by David Cross. Um, Brad Pitt shows up as the previous Superman sort of superhero who has given up superhero. He faked his own death so he could become Music Man. He doesn't want to be Metro Man anymore. He wants to change to Music Man. Sorry to spoiler the movie, but whatever. It's a 12-year-old kids movie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. I haven't. Oh, created by Capcom. Interesting. Okay.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay.
It's well, it's either I'm reading the wrong thing or there's a separate video game series that is related. But
Oh,
this is a rabbit hole I'm not like adept at, so I won't go all
yeah,
the way
this
down.
isn't the gamer gang on this call, but Megamind Capcom. That I just want to see if that's the same thing or not.
Oh, you know what? It's Mega Man, not Mega Mind. So
Oh,
I'm
Mega
already
Man. Yeah,
making
okay,
errors.
okay. Yeah, yeah, Mega Man, I definitely know. This is Mega Mind. He's a big blue guy.
All right, let's go back to the thing I researched so I can speak better on such things.
That's fine. I'm just going by my memories of this anyway. Let's
You have a
see.
good memory for all the things,
Yeah.
whereas
That's my job to be a encyclopedia of pointless knowledge. But useful knowledge, I do not have it, but yeah.
I'm good with really obscure stuff, but no one's ever asking for it. So
Well, it's
slightly.
like went to Disney Sea a few weeks ago, and I'm pointing out all the obscure, dumb theme park knowledge that nobody cares about, right? Like I know about Sea, the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, where most of the rides are weirdly linked through this thing of like old-timey like war criminals and things, imperialists. That's a thing at Disney Sea.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you ride the Tower of Terror there, it's not the Twilight Zone because they don't know the Twilight Zone in Japan, weirdly enough. Uh, to doing a podcast about it here in Japan. But yeah, they've rethemed it where it's Harrison Hightower, who is a industrialist around the turn of the century who would go to indigenous cultures, steal their sacred relics. So the paintings in his big hotel are all him and his manservant running away from the natives who are chasing them. And he at a New Year's Eve, turn of the century New Year's Eve party has a tiki that he had recently gotten from, well, I think they said Africa, which I guess makes it not a tiki, but an idol. And
Hmm.
he carelessly, because he doesn't care, puts his cigar out on it. And in this case, he takes the elevator, and then the idol curses him and makes the elevator crash. So,
Oh, well, I
so,
like that ending. That's good.
and then when you finish the ride, you go into the gift store, and it's paintings of this Harrison Hightower guy being like, like pampered by many scantily clad women and things like that. And so yeah, the
Can you
theming there
buy
is
the
just like,
tiki? Can you buy the tiki itself?
gee, I don't know.
I mean, what else? What's the like the yeah, that's the artifact of the story, it sounds like.
Yeah. I have to check on that. Yeah, you might be able to get the tiki. And there's a very cool effect in the pre-show where you're in this office and the tiki vanishes. So it's kind of hard to tell how they did it. I guess yeah, it's just weird. I didn't check it a ride through or something if you're into that sort of thing.
All right.
Um, but yeah, different devil today. So I guess give it 5 seconds and I will let you talk about things you actually know about because they're in front of you.
Thanks.
Welcome to Time Enough Podcast. It's where we look into all of the episodes of The Twilight Zone and beyond. This is Matt here, coming back for another round with some classic Hollywood knowledge. It's Dorian. Hi.
Hello, hello.
Give you things that you know what to talk about.
Hmm.
Now I've increasingly been giving the inside baseball on people that are asking for things and people that I just assign things. You asked for this one, so
Oh, I
you asked
did.
for it. You asked for it, which
I know.
I mean the Burgess Meredith of it all
It's
is
not a Burgess
yeah.
Meredith thing, although I did the obsolete man, so it might look like a trend, but I just love the devil stories because, as Dorian, of course I do. Like that's like making deals with the devil is like right in my alley. So I was interested. And actually, I didn't realize that Burgess Meredith was the devil in this. I thought he was the printer who would make the deal. So it became apparent very early that he was not that person. So
No, I this season 4 is basically new to me. This is the first time I've watched this, and I was like, oh
oh,
my God, he's like kind of a better villain here than as the Penguin.
oh yeah. This is
Like,
my first hour episode, by the way, too.
yes,
So
yes,
I'm in a
yes.
whole new era. So
Well, yeah, the unofficial question now should have been 25 minutes, which I think at this point of the season they're starting to feel the pacing a little better. Like there wasn't any part of this where I was like, oh, this needs to be shorter, you know?
mm-mm.
It it
No, it
seemed
paced itself well. Because they let him sort oh, I mean, I want to talk about this later, but this is sort of like a try before you buy devil pact because it's usually so he did the thing where he made the statement with conviction and then the devil appears. But usually, like there's all kinds of different ways in literature that actually comes to being. So anyway, never mind. We'll come back to that. Go ahead and do your intro. Or am I reading the intro? It's
you're
been so
reading the
long
intro. I
reading.
will do the trivia. So
Got it. Okay.
the original air date was February 28th, 1963. Script is credited to Charles Beaumont based on his story, The Devil You Say. This is about the time that Beaumont's health issues kicked in, and this is the last episode of his that is not considered to be ghost written by Jerry Soule. So this one maybe. I mean it's based on an old story, so I have a feeling this actually might be the first one he didn't actually write. But yeah, if you're not familiar with his story, he was a hard liver and in his mid 30s basically started like rapidly aging. So when he died at age 38, he looked like he was 95 or something. It was crazy. It's like a Twilight Zone episode that he would have written. It's very weird. I guess that's you make your own reality. I don't know. Ralph Sinensky directed. This is his only time in the zone, but he directed 6 episodes of Star Trek and was a regular director for the series The FBI. As of this recording, he is still alive at 101 years old. I hope I'm not cursing him by saying that. Burgess Meredith is back as Mr. Smith. This is his 4th and final appearance in the series, though he will also make 2 appearances in Night Gallery. Of course, he has multiple claims to fame as the Penguin in Batman 66 and as Rocky Balboa's trainer, Mickey. Doug Winter is played by Robert Sterling. He was a day player for Columbia around about 1940 and starred in the Topper TV series from the 1950s. Pat Crowley was Jackie Benson. She won a Best New Star Golden Globe in 1953 for Forever Female. By the 60s, she was making those TV guest spot circuits we so often see. And speaking of those rounds, Ray Teal was Mr. Franklin. He was an anchor of TV guest spot Magnet Bonanza for more than a decade. Sorry, he was a regular, but everyone makes a guest spot on Bonanza. You'll also find him in films like Billy Wilder's Ace in the Hole and the quite heavy Judgment at Nuremberg with real devils, not fun ones like Burgess Meredith in this episode, or Mr. Smith, I guess we can start calling him. If you have that prologue in your face, give it a roll.
I do, but first I want to also mention that Pat Crowley is still alive at 90 years young. So
okay, he's got 11 years to go before he impresses me.
Pat the lady, Ms. Benson, yeah.
Gotta have a 3-digit number.
All right, here is the prologue. Take away a man's dream, fill him with whiskey and despair, send him to a lonely bridge, let him stand there all by himself looking down at the black water and try to imagine the thoughts that are in his mind. You can't, I can't, but there's someone who can, and that someone is seated next to Douglas Winter right now. The car is headed back toward town, but its real destination is the Twilight Zone.
Yep, cars are a great way to get there. We've done that in multiple episodes, I believe. The hitchhiker, that'll take you there in a car. Sure. So what my first thought is, I guess this whole episode is he's in a business. I guess you have to worry about how many people are going to be interested in your content and sort of thing. And as a creator, I'm thinking about that because, I make podcasts. I know at least a nice auditorium of people listen to these now, which is nice. I still make music, and I don't think anyone listens to that except maybe me. So, but I still feel like making it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in this case, Winters is so stuck in this, I guess, partly because he does need to make a profit from it, but he also wants to trounce the competition. So I don't know. One thing that I thought was interesting here is kind of working out if he has a unhealthy or healthy obsession with his paper.
Well, I mean, it starts with a mountain of bills, which is pretty relatable. So, I don't think he is as ambitious as wanting to take out the Gazette so much as the Gazette is starting to kind of crouch in on his territory. And, the big conglomerate is pushing out the little man. So I guess it starts with that sort of sad, dying dream of like, I wanted to do this, but somebody with greater advantage has come along and greater resources. And gloom cookie is my new favorite phrase for somebody.
Oh yeah, I wrote. I've got to start using that. Yeah.
Gloom cookie. Yeah, that's okay.
I'm guessing in the past 15 years or whatever, I guess this story has happened many places, but the Gazette is simply, online content in that case. I mean, just last year, the company I work for used to put a monthly ad in a magazine, like a kids magazine, because it's a kids school. And that just stopped print last September, like relatively suddenly. So the photographer doesn't show up to shoot those as much anymore. But then they started moving things online. So that's obviously not a thought in 1963, but I was like, this is one that you could definitely make now pretty easily.
Yeah, with your topographer going 8 weeks without pay. I felt so bad. Like he's like, I have to leave. And Ms. Benson's like, what's your problem? It's like 8 weeks is a long time to not get paid. Like I thought that was pretty sympathetic and straightforward. But I guess the fact that he was going to go then work for the Gazette was like the knife. But I mean, you got to go where you're getting valued and paid. So I felt pretty sympathetic for poor Andy, who just needed to like make his dollars.
He also might have been uncomfortable with all the weird PDA among Miss Benson and Mr. Smith. They're not, or not Mr. Smith, Mr. Winters. They're not very. It's like they're trying to be coy, but they're not at all.
No, it's a small office. Like it's a claustrophobic environment for sure.
So that could also have to do with it. Yeah, I thought it was funny when with all the bills, he grabs a cigarette, and I was like, man, if I was there, I'd have scotch in there. Which that's one drawer down. That comes out within a minute. So I was like, okay, there. Well,
Right.
whiskey. They say whiskey, but in my mind is it's got to be scotch. But that's what would be in my desk, I guess. So.
Yeah, it depends on the day which drawer you pick, or if you just, pick them both. I liked
um,
the Bizarro It's a Wonderful Life. We go to the bridge, we look at the dark water. I mean, things could have been different if Henry Travers was there as an angel instead of Burgess Meredith as the devil. Like, could have gone either way, but we went the devil route this time.
yes, it depends who's going to show up and visit you. Maybe he kneecapped the Cavender guy, Cavender. Cavender was coming,
Travers,
but
yeah.
yeah. But he got kneecapped by Mr. Smith. So it is weird with Meredith around the show because I've been pretty vocal that the namesake of this podcast, Time Enough at Last, is not my favorite episode, and Mr. Bemis is not my favorite character. And then
Mhm.
Obsolete Man just like you know full cylinders cracking on the show. He's great. Mr.
Mhm.
Dingle, let's try to forget Mr. Dingle. That I guess it's not his fault. They're just giving
No,
the worst character possible. So but
he
then
ended
here
on a strong one for sure.
I guess this is now my favorite though, because obviously man doesn't even have like a kernel of whimsy, right? Whereas this one is
Yeah.
equal parts whimsy and menace, which again,
Hmm.
like I'm like, okay, this is directly in Penguin territory, and this is kind of better because
Yeah.
I think on the actual Batman show, maybe I don't know. I guess Frank Gerson's the ultimate villain. I just think Riddler when I think that show. So
He's got the FDR cigar thing down like really early on this, and he's menacing. Menace is a good word. I was thinking sinister, but like he menaces with his looks quite a bit. So I like the scene where you see them both. He's reflected against like a window, and he's watching Douglas on the phone. Like that's a nice. It's so simple, but it's a nice touch where he's just sort of eavesdropping on the conversation, and he just has to stand there, and it feels menacing. So
what I found interesting is you might be like, oh, Doug Winters is stupid. He's like falling straight into this. But I feel like, I mean, maybe he's a little weak-willed, but it's like there never really was a choice because Mr. Smith just kind of shows up, invites himself, gives himself the job. He's using
mhm.
the hardest neuro-linguistic programming possible when he's actually getting Winters to sign the deal, right? Which I mean, again, you could be like a little more willpower, thinking a little more, being ready for that sort of thing. I mean, you could um get around the devil. I assumed he didn't. I assumed that the other shoe drops like after this episode ends, 5 minutes later. So
Oh yeah. I mean, he's manipulated and he's bullied. Like I like how he kind of mocked him. I like how Mr. Smith sort of mocks him. Like you don't really believe in the devil. Like I liked how he kind of weaseled him in there and kind of shamed him into doing it. So, but it was weird. You could tell he felt uncomfortable. And you would think he had heard all the other stories of like how these pacts with the devil go. So I kind of wanted to touch on that. So like there's Faust, and there's, they mentioned Paganini, but we have our own, American, like Robert Leroy Johnson, the blues musician who sells his double at the crossroads in Mississippi and then dies at 27,
although I think the Paganini reference was different. I don't, anyway, okay, actually that's interesting. I made a note about it. I said I fully get the Paganini reference, but I'm getting a different reference than you did, so I'm not fully getting it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, he sells his soul so he can become a violin virtuoso.
right, okay. You know what? That's weird. I never got that. I thought it was like you can perform well under duress was the point. Because the thing
Ugh,
I know him for is his showstopper technique was he would purposefully break the strings on his violin till at the end of his performance he was playing as a virtuoso on one string, and that was his thing. Like, oh, he's broken three strings and he's still like ripping out a concerto or something.
that's hardcore. But that's the thing behind it is that that's how he was able to do that. So
No,
I
I just
looked him
found
up. I didn't recognize it. So that's what I got from that. And that's what I was like, how come we're not talking about Robert Johnson, who was also, a devil dealing musician? But there's another movie in 1941 called, or another movie about the devil and Daniel Webster. So in that
oh yeah.
movie, Walter Houston is the devil, right? Or Mr. Scratch is his name in that. Like it's a Mr. something really unassuming. And then Daniel Webster, the lawyer, is played by Edward Arnold, and they argue back and forth to save the soul of someone who accidentally made this pact, and Daniel Webster's trying to get this guy out of the deal. But in that case, there's a corporeal devil. In this one, he actually appears. Like, I think about the picture of Dorian Gray, where he sees his portrait and he says, with conviction, but he's looking at it and he says, if only this portrait could age and I could not. And then slowly over time, when he starts to see the portrait change, he realizes that he actually made that commitment, but the devil never actually appears to him. So I think it's interesting that the pact can be made in different ways, but in this instance, Douglas says the magic words and then he instantly appears, which is the first clue. Like, if you say out loud, you will sell your soul, and some weird man shows up immediately after, like, that's your first sign, that's your first chance to get out of it. And then he just makes the business successful and then proposes that he sign the contract. Like, try before you buy kind of system. So I love that. I think that's funny, but I guess it clouds his judgment that they've been so successful. And so not only does he not want to believe that a devil exists, he doesn't want to believe that, everything that he has happened can be taken away so quickly. And so it's that also with the manipulation and also with the bullying that makes him eventually sign up. But you can tell as soon as he does, it starts to dawn on him as well that things are going a little too well. And I like how that's the benefit of having a whole hour for this, is that you start to see more slowly how it starts to kind of like creep into his consciousness, and he starts to really start to worry.
He still gets several distinct moments when he could, push it away, which he doesn't do till after he's officially signed the contract. Like, you signed it, you might have thought it was a dream, but it's at that point you're shafted. Chick tracks have taught me that, if nothing else. I was also gonna just say with Robert Johnson, I think 1963 was just like the wrong time, because I think him getting into the popular consciousness would have been like a few years later with the British invasion and the Brits being like, hey, we like this guy that's on these weird old like folk records,
That is a great point. Yeah.
And so by Night Gallery, yeah, it would have been Robert Johnson in the late 60s, sure.
Yeah.
But 63 a touch, or I mean, of course, Johnson already been there and gone, but it took a few years, I guess, for him to really enter popular culture. And
that totally makes sense. It's just slightly anachronistic.
Yeah.
I noticed also that there aren't more people. So like suddenly they're successful. The paper is successful because they have a ton of subscriptions and they're selling out every day, but there are no more employees, like just one employee. Like, nothing has to change. Yeah, just
think how much overhead you save in that case.
Absolutely. It's a great system. Just let the devil do his work, and there you have it.
Now the deal I put in my notes, of course, is Bart Simpson selling his soul to Millhouse for $5. Just yesterday, I was walking in a convenience store and the door didn't like immediately open, so I was like, a little concerned that Millhouse had been around. That's my demon.
I like how Miss Benson like has a different take on it. Like she like senses him as sort of a creeper. She slaps him, which he doesn't like. But I like how she doesn't buy in. She doesn't know what's happening, so that's part of it. But like you can tell her women's intuition is like, there's something not right about this, and Douglas has changed, and I don't feel great about this. So she's sort of the voice of reason in this downward spiral.
We also had a soul sold 2 weeks ago in Jezebel, in which case it's made much less clear. Like, just the witch is like, do you have money? No. Okay, well, are you just want to make the deal, like, without really even specifying anything? So
is Anne Francis the witch in that?
No, she is well, she becomes a witch. She is not the original witch. She is witched in the episode.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I haven't seen that, but I saw that in your notes.
Yeah, that's our prime exploitation. Earl Hamner Jr. starts the Waltons later. I do prefer the Beaumont strain. Like, I was doing the trivia, I was like, oh no, this kind of is the end of him as a primary creator, because after his point in the show, they're basically just trying to shore the guy up, because he's I guess it's a mixture of self-destruction and actual weird health things that hit him. And at this point, they're like, oh God, we got to help this guy out. So here, like, they're using his old story. So I'm thinking maybe he didn't put the final polish on the script, though he is I looked at Wiki and it's like after this point they all have asterisks. Like he probably didn't write this.
Hmm.
But yeah, but I think it is my favorite like non-Serling tone on the show because
Hmm.
Matheson's got his own tone, Beaumont's got his tone, Hamner's got his tone, and I've always been a little partial to the weirdness and the I guess Beaumont always makes you think Satan's around the corner somewhere. Again, we get the literal devil back in the Howling Man, don't we?
Hmm.
So Satan is all over the Twilight Zone. That's nice. That's why we want to watch the show. How'd you feel about the weird stylistic touches? Well, the three things that are going to stick in my head, and the three things you probably get merch for. Well, two of the things you get merch for. Those insane cigars.
Hmm.
Those were note. I was like, is that you know, what kind of kush is in there? How does he roll his cigars? I don't know.
I think he
Um,
rolls them and sits on them, and that's how they turn like all bent and weird.
oh, he's just sitting on them as machine. Okay, the machine obviously is like
Hmm.
his rigged up machine is very cool. I mean, I guess any tele or type machine from way back when is going to look interesting to us. I mean, a real one's going to look steampunk, and this one just looks insane.
I
Or
think it's a
is it?
linotype is what
Yeah,
it was
okay,
called.
yeah. That's what I say. Yeah, I was about to say teletype. I knew that was wrong, but
Close.
actually, I didn't look at a picture of a real one. Are you familiar with what an actual one looks like?
No,
Which
but I'm
looks
looking it
like you
up
might,
right
yeah.
now.
Now I'm just wondering if this is a tricked out one or if it
It
just
looks
looks
pretty
weird
similar.
because it's got that weird little console in the front of just like tons of machinery. And I was like watching it, oh, that's a cool like design. But now I'm like, actually, it might be the real thing in 1963.
Hmm.
So I can't
It's
credit
a
that to the design. Okay.
90 character keyboard. It looks similar enough. I
Okay.
didn't see any trivia about where they got that prop, so I think that instead of creating it, they actually did use one.
Okay, well, I guess that's just like the old thing looks cool then. So I can't
Yeah.
credit that to the show. Um, and the other
It's
one,
a great prop, though.
I did like those bizarre music cues whenever, Mr. Smith bends reality again or whatever. It sounded like a
Hmm.
Casio keyboard tone, which is insane for 1963. So it was like blah,
It's
blah,
an
blah.
interesting touch, like that extra emphasis on. You're right, like trying to well telegraph the weirdness, the bend.
But yeah, I guess as a guy who owns several synthesizers, that perked my ears a little bit. Just, I mean, it wouldn't if it was in something now, but just knowing the vintage of the show, I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
this is same era as the original Doctor Who theme, so which is still the best one, but definitely like more ethereal than the more modern ones. So, um, let's see what I got in my notes. Of course, I had to make a few notes about Scrooge McDuck. I was surprised how tiny the yellow pages was because growing up in the 80s, you kill people with the yellow pages. That's a murder weapon,
Yeah,
right? And this was like a normal sized book. So I guess it's a small town anyway, but
yeah. It's a small town because this is the small town paper getting taken over by the big guy. So yeah, that adds up.
what else do I have? The full grown paper boy. That was kind of fun. Um, I mean, I feel like I've never seen like whenever you show someone extra extra and it's always a boy, and here it's like a full grown dude,
It's true. It's true.
which
Yeah.
I'm sure happened. I'm sure people did that job, but yeah. Um, so it sounded like you had a few other things in the notes you took or the research
Well,
you
yeah,
did that I didn't
I
get
want
into.
to clarify that. So the whole thing with the gun, so that was the deal that Mr. Smith was offering was like, I'm gonna wreck this car, or your girlfriend's gonna be messed up in this car crash that hasn't happened yet. But if you shoot yourself and you give me your soul now, then she'll be okay, right? That was what that was all about. And then that's when he gets the idea that if he types the future in an alternate way, that it will avoid this catastrophe. Was I getting that right?
I think that's basically a thing. I was like, I guess you saw my notes, but I was like, I felt like we were kind of taking a left turn into Alfred Hitchcock Presents territory
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. I guess that show really did not do the supernatural angle, so it wouldn't be the devil, but just that kind of thing, like some weird, like the Dark Knight Joker ferry boat thing, that kind of thing is
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
how I read it as. Yeah.
Okay. But you're right, he's still going to hell. Like, just because he got him out of that car does not mean that that contract is null and void. I mean, I guess we could imply that he wrote something in the paper that, really that paper was powerful, but that machine was created by him, so it can't possibly be used against him in the end, I don't think. So
Yeah, because I
I
mean,
think,
Miss Benson, like, very directly rebuked Mr. Smith several times. So I guess she could be shot by him or crashed by him, but I mean, she is not, she has no part of this contract that, again, 5 minutes later, something else. This is like Final Destination stuff, I think, for Doug Winters. Something else
mhm.
is going to creep up like before too long. Um,
Yeah, I like the line, he never goes anywhere he's not invited. So that is the key part. You have to invite him. And I like how they called him His Satanic Majesty. It just came out of nowhere. I thought that was, of course, what else would we call him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, very, very majestic Satanism for this one.
So, and that is not the last time that Burgess Meredith would play the devil. So he did a movie called Torture Garden in 1967, where he plays Dr. Diabolo, like Diablo, but a couple extra letters. And that's, let me pull that up. That is a series of vignettes, I believe. An anthology of 4 short horror stories about people who visit Dr. Diabolo's fairground haunted house attraction show. That's from 67. And then 10 years later, he makes this movie called The Sentinel, and this has like the craziest cast. Okay, Ava Gardner's in it, John Carradine, Jose Ferrer, Meredith's there, and he's the devil again. Christopher Walken's in this, Eli Wallach is in this, Jerry Orbach. It's so random. And the story about this is a young woman moves into an apartment in a building which houses a sinister evil. So 67 and 77, he's like returning to his devilish ways. So I thought that
Yeah,
was
that's definitely what those people. It's possible for those people to be in the same movie. Okay.
I know, in 1977 of all times, like I think it was IMDb says something about how, after Airport, everybody was trying to throw a bunch of random people together and put them in a harrowing situation. So it kind of makes sense for the disaster trend of the 70s, but I would love to find that because that is a motley crew.
Yeah, I always put the nadir slash apex of that as a meteor, which if you've seen that, it's kind of like how Moonraker is my favorite Bond film, but I know it's not the best by any means. So Meteor is
I'm gonna
my
write that
favorite
down.
70s disaster film, but I understand it's not good.
I love the Towering Inferno. I can never love anything more than that. I love how it creeps along so slowly. It's like the Titanic. It's like you think any one thing, if it just didn't go wrong, things would be okay. But everything goes wrong, and I just love it.
No, that and
Let's see.
Poseidon Adventure, much better movies than Meteor. Don't get me wrong. I'm just giving personal preference out here. It's my recent one is watching and understanding that The Flash is a terrible movie with terrible acting, and I kind of like it for some reason. The CGI sucks, but I still like it for some reason. I don't get it.
That's not uncommon. I mean, a movie doesn't have to be good to be enjoyable. I
No,
mean,
you can have your guilty pleasure.
yeah, like things there. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I also have, just for fun, some more Burgess Meredith information. He wrote an autobiography a couple years before he died called So Far So Good. So I don't know if he talked about all his devilish roles in that or not. Um, he was in the Air Force. I mean, he did lots of things. He was, had a pretty long career. Whenever I think of Burgess Meredith, I think of the fact that he was married to Paulette Goddard, and I still can't. Like, maybe I just need to see a picture of them together, but that still blows my mind every time. I'm like, seriously, Paulette Goddard, vivacious Paulette Goddard, and like curmudgeonly Burgess Meredith. Okay, fine. They were married for like 5 years or something. Just they were both at Paramount together, so it might have been like a small pool or something. But
I just learned that fact recently. I didn't know that we were doing The Great Dictator, and I was like, "Well, it's not like Chaplin was just running all around Hollywood banging everything like Burgess Meredith." And then someone was like, "Wait, he actually married." So it was like funny that I threw out his name for that, and then the connection was like immediate in there, which makes him
immediate.
maybe Meredith himself was the devil. I don't know.
I think it was 2 years later. Like she was married to Chaplin until 42, and then a couple years later, she was with Meredith. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like the fourth time was the charm for Meredith because his fourth marriage lasted 40 some years until his death. So he finally got it right. or found a good pairing. And then the very last fact I have, do you have other things? I have one, I'm saving this one for last because it's
Okay, no, I've already been sitting here like saying like, oh, I guess I just have to on my random notes. You've had my martinis before, and they called it a double, and that looked like my single, I think. I haven't made a martini in like 15 years, but I think I
I
still could.
know.
I remember how to make it. Yeah.
I'm sure you could.
Okay, yes. I'll have my questions, of course, but your last point.
Okay, my fun fact is that there is a sample this episode in a really random song called The Fall. Here, let me send you a link to it so we can post it. But it's called The Fall, and the band is Wolf Kidult Man, maybe is how you express. Okay, I'm just gonna send you this link so you can look at it. But we should link to this because I listened to it and it comes in at the end, and it's the part, it's like the negotiation early part. So how weird is it that this episode is a sample in a, I think it is a like 2015 song. So that's my big surprise. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah,
Where
it's
did
a,
there it is. Okay.
okay. It's like when I think of, Lieutenant Commander Worf from Star Trek, I just start getting the orbital and time becomes a loop, and time becomes a loop, and time becomes a loop. That gets stuck in my head a lot. So yeah, sometimes you find the right match for the music and the weird sample.
I mean, I don't know what the rest of the song has to do with it, but you can listen to it as a music expert and you can tell me. But that was my
Um,
super fun fact. And I got it
I,
from IMDb. I did not learn this on my own. I just followed up with the information. But it was still, I think that's the first time I've done anything that has a sample in a modern song. So cool.
it's like how on the other end of the spectrum, it's how I'm always annoyed when the Cool Hand Luke samples in that Guns N' Roses song. It's like no, that doesn't go there. Take it out.
Take it out.
Take it out.
All
I tried to
right, I'm ready
listen to
for
Use Your Illusion
questions.
not long ago, and it was wow, stuff is not good. Sorry to anyone who loves it. Appetite's still a great album. Use Your Illusion. It's like listening to Gloss.
I don't know that reference, but I trust you.
Sorry, did you have a question for me?
No, you had questions for
I
me.
have questions for you.
For
Okay.
us. We're at the question
Yes, I'll
phase,
answer
right?
them. I'll answer them as well. The first one being who in this episode goes through the Twilight Zone?
You answer first.
Oh, I usually don't. Okay. Um, well, I guess it's pretty much on the nose that Winters does. And my question was going to be, is Miss Benson have anything to do with the Twilight Zone, or is she just having a really bad toxic work environment?
Toxic work environment. I think she's safe. I think that like she has like a strength of character, or well, I mean, part of it's because she's not really privy to what's going on. So I don't know. I mean, if they got her weaknesses in there, maybe she would, I don't know. It just seems like she's like the straight and narrow one who's like, I don't like this. This isn't a good scene. Get away from me. I'm gonna slap your face. And like, she's like protected. Like she isn't being tempted in the way that Douglas is. So she's sort of, impervious to this situation.
Would this episode be better if she did have a more direct no, like she was a little more involved and made the choice? Or is it better that
No,
she's kind of like right outside the bubble of weirdness?
I think that's good. I think it'd be too crowded in there. I think it has to be a one-on-one thing. I don't know too many stories that involve more than one soul at a time. Maybe they're out there, but I think it was you get the vulnerable person and you focus on them and it's one-on-one double time.
Yeah. So I guess she deserves a new job is what she deserves. She should hit the one ads a little harder. Look at the Gazette's one ads, see what's in there.
Well, I mean, at the end, it sounds like everybody's happy because he thinks he's thrown the devil off his back and now they're going to get married and have a great life. So she could get pulled in later when, he starts showing up or something.
yeah.
It really is unresolved.
I guess I did want the subversive twist at the end that makes it no, everything's not okay. I think that really would have sealed the deal in this episode a little harder because it's a happy ending episode where
Mm-hmm.
I would like I think so. I guess I'm saying I think Winters does deserve it because he makes the choice. He's explained to him. He's bullied into it, but he can't stand up
Mm-hmm.
to his well, I guess standing up to the devil is a bit of a thing, but hey, you could do it, you know. He could have done it and he didn't,
He's
so he
ashamed
deserves it.
into it. He did. What's that expression about the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing humanity that he doesn't exist? Like that is literally the tool that he used. He's like, you don't really believe that stuff, do you? And so, Winter's caved because he fell for that old line. And so, it's sad, but I just don't think he's getting away with it. I don't think that the devil's printer that could be used against him. And I don't know, that's all speculation. They did make it sound like everything got wrapped up and like this guy was smart enough to figure it out, but that contract does still exist. So like, it's
Yeah, it's kind of like the yeah, it's kind of it is the most transparent happy ending I think we've gotten on the Twilight Zone, because usually a happy ending in Twilight Zone is okay, yeah, sure, it's it's fine now. This one though, it's like no, it's not fine, and I would have punctuated it maybe, yeah, put your post credit scene in this, which you don't do in the early '60s, but
or make the creepy music come in at the end to make you doubt. I'm so surprised that they didn't have a bit of a cliffhanger. They just made it seem, unless we're supposed to be unsettled and have this very conversation where that's not really true. He didn't really get out of it, but normally they sort of forecast that a bit better than they did.
right, an episode that does that really well would be last season's Jeff Myrtle Bank, where at the end, oh hello train, where at the end of the episode, you don't know if this is a new happy couple, if this guy actually has been like, replaced by the devil or something, and it's really unclear. He's just scared his community, and yeah, it's that one is very ambiguous, and I like it, and I would have liked to see something a little more along those lines in this one. So
Yeah, agreed.
I did like the episode quite well, but I was, a little not quite satisfied by the ending. And hey, by that point, we've also not had Burgess on screen for a few minutes, which is kind of the main selling point of this episode. So, once he's gone, it's kind of all over. Once the car crashes, that's the end. We don't get any more unsettling glares.
No, but I just feel like you can still feel him though. He's still hovering around. And what do they do with the printer? Do they destroy the printer because it
That's
is it no
expensive.
longer enchanted? Because well, is that can you use the word enchanted for something evil? I think so, right? That just means it's been
Yeah, you can enchant
magicked
an
up.
evil thing. I
Okay.
mean, just saying
So
that printer is enchanting would be different, but yeah.
but they don't really they leave a lot to be they leave a lot unanswered about what comes next. It's just this big relief, everybody's okay, but are they?
No, no, they're not okay. That's what I'm missing in this. A little more existential horror, because Doug Winters just stepped directly into it. So, you can't
Yeah.
just this was too easy, wasn't
Hmm.
it? How about for a tripometer ranking? We got 0 is not trippy, 5 is extremely trippy.
Oh, I thought it was a scale of 10. I had my 7 already. So how do I translate a 7? A
Uh,
3 maybe?
3.5.
3.5.
I mean, I can have a
Um,
7 out of 10 if you want. And there's
I think when you talk about souls in the afterlife and the devil showing up for most of the episode, you get a pretty high ranking.
yeah,
Like,
I was thinking 4, or I guess 8 on your scale. So
mm,
4 or 8.
agreed.
Again, the performance is just like trippy, like I guess that's why he got to play the devil on multiple occasions, because
Hmm.
malice and charm are pretty much on equal levels for this portrayal, which is always a fun mix if someone can pull it off
Hmm.
properly.
I don't think he's super charming, but charming enough. He's persuasive. Let's put it that way. I
Okay,
wouldn't
that
give him
that kind of that
charm,
yeah.
but yeah.
Not charm like I want to hang out with this guy, but yes, charm like this guy will make what he wants to happen, which I guess is how you rock the devil in that way.
He's always present. He's always like overhearing things and listening. And, I like, we didn't really go over what the stories were, but like there was the pink robbery, there was the bigamy article, there was the fire at the Gazette at the competitor. So all these like, the lottery winner, like all these interesting stories that he's writing to become true. So it's a pretty nifty trick.
I
So.
mean, didn't they basically did that for the TV show Flash Forward, or Tomorrow's Special? I don't know. There's a '90s show where there's a you get tomorrow's headlines, and then they have to go and try and stop them or something.
Great. I forgot about that. I don't remember the name of it.
Actually, Flash 4 might be a different show, but yeah, it was a '90s one. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, that's a fun high concept, and then but you're like, I don't really want to do it every week, do I? So maybe in that way, Printer's Devil is a better place to do that sort of thing.
It was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. It was a great pick.
I guess we'll start wrapping up today. I usually say, do you have anything else? But you already threw out your final thing is final. But I guess I'll give you another chance to finalize if you want.
No, I have no other details.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah,
anything?
but can we put the link like in the description, like for this amazing sampling in the song? I'll let you
Yeah,
listen to it.
yeah, sure. I'll plop the link in there if you want that to be your plug. You can plug that, or if
That's
you
my
have any.
plug.
Okay, that's your plug.
Yeah.
As for us, we do us being me in this case, but we do a lot of podcasting at Podcastius. You can get episodes this early with some extra chitter chatter. We are getting through season 2 of Space 1999 on Podcast 1999 and talking about really good movies and really bad movies on Films and Filth, which you've been on twice, I think.
I think so.
Sounds
One
about
was
right.
Vertigo.
That was like a year ago.
Maybe
Vertigo a year
maybe
ago.
it's only been once.
You did Eternal Sunshine too, so that would be
Oh, right.
twice.
Just
Yeah.
kidding. Twice. Like you
Well,
said.
it makes sense you would forget about Eternal Sunshine doing that one.
So true. So
That
true.
makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna go go smoke a weird bent fire and brimstone cigar, I guess, to cap off my
Oh, you
day.
know what we didn't do, and it's too late probably, but we didn't talk about how the effect of him lighting his finger, like lighting the cigar with his finger. We didn't talk about how that was achieved. Did you know what I mean?
Oh, well, it sounds like you got something because I
Can I
guess
do
I
it real
didn't think
fast?
about it. I
Okay.
was like, his
So
fingers on fire.
he would numb his fingers in ice. Then they put lighter fluid on it, and then there were two wires that came up through his sleeve that would trigger that light. And that's how he appeared to snap his fingers and light his cigar.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I
So
guess you don't think about it because it has to be practical. Now we're just used to everyone's fingers on fire in modern film. So,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and none of that process meant that his fingers were not actually on fire. Just because he couldn't feel it because of the ice does not mean they didn't pour lighter fluid on them. So I thought that was cool. I think they did that trick twice in it. But yes, damn it, I didn't write that down. But
It's
there
like
we go. That's how that's achieved.
okay. It's like I had a class a few days ago. Can you? I can. And one of the flashcards, it's firewalk, and all the kids were like, "No, I can." I'm like, "Hey, you could. You just have to believe you can. Do it quickly. You can firewalk. That's the whole point of firewalking, right?" So, Satan, Birds Meredith, firewalkers. There, I had like a double ending. That's cool.
An
Um,
epilogue.
I think the next one for this I have you listed on is Lady Anne, Passage on the Lady Anne, which is
Yes. But you said
one,
someone else is doing that too, I think.
four, one, two, three. No, I expected someone would request it, but they didn't. So actually, you're the only one on that at the moment.
Excellent.
Because John, who's on the show a lot, is obsessed with cruise ships and goes to the Queen Mary all the time because he lives in Los Angeles. So I just kind of assumed he'd ask for that one, but he did not. Um he asked for, where's the list? No Time Like the Past, and of late I think of Cliffordville. So
Mm.
oh, and In His Image, which we've already that's over and done with. We could check. I I think Luke is about to start being more available on Mondays because he moved. I think his girlfriend's moving in, so he's not going to Tokyo every weekend. But
Mm.
what are some films coming up? Capernaum. What is that? I don't know. The Lives of Others. I'm reading the good list ones here. Three Idiots. Uh oh no, that one has a guest already. Amadeus. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, maybe I'll call you for that. There is someone who might want to be on that, but he's kind of hard to catch sometimes, so maybe not.
it's all good. I mean, I'm only really available on like Sundays now. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might be able to work something out, but yeah. And anyway, the Twilight Zone is just, I do that with me, so definitely the Lady Anne is going to be ready to roll.
excellent. I don't
Um,
know why I like that one so much. I just really do. I like the cast, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to watching that again. So
I don't know much. Like I've said the only one of these I've seen is like the Parallel. So
mm.
who is in that one? The Lady Anne.
Cecil Kellaway and Gladys Cooper, and
Oh, okay.
those are the ones that like really stand out to me. But it's just like, this young couple gets to the ship and they're like, you don't want to be on this ship. And they're like, yeah, yeah, we do. And they're like, you really shouldn't be. And like, it goes from there. It's like, again, people aren't taking advice they're being given. It's like, just listen to the old men.
Listen to the grizzled old sea salt. Oh, and I
Yeah,
should
they're trying to help you out. Don't be so stubborn. But that's exactly what happens. They seal their fate.
copy your link before I end this meeting. That's the thing when people send you Zoom links and then the meeting ends, you're like, oh wait, I didn't actually do anything with that link. But I can put it into YouTube now and it will be there. Dun, dun, there it is. Okay. Okay, that the fall. That's yeah, I guess that guy finally died, didn't he?
Finally.
Because he looked like he was dead 20 years ago or more.
Oh, okay.
Marquis Smith is the fall guy. The fall guy. I just watched Family Feud, Gilligan's Island versus Batman. That was fun.
Are you
Vincent Price shows
serious?
up. Yeah. No Gilligan, but you get Vincent Price on the Batman team.
I love Vincent Price.
And I mean, Alan Hale's there, right? He as basically playing the skipper on the Family Feud. He's, wearing the shirt and the hat and stuff.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and the I forget the actor's name who plays the millionaire, but he's
Mhm.
I can't tell if he's just doing great comedy or if he's like really senile. Or if it's a little of both. Like he's senile and he
Probably.
knows how to rocket his comedy. Like when it's his turn, like I guess he couldn't walk by that point because they bring him a buzzer. He doesn't have to come up to the table.
Oh wow. What year is this reunion?
1983. I made another podcast talk about that episode, which is kind of fun.
I have never actually watched Kill. Is this the Ray Combs version of Family Feud?
No, this is Richard Dawson.
Dawson. Okay.
And he gets very kissy. Like he wants to kiss all the cat women as much as he
Yeah,
can. And
that
it's
happens.
creepy. It's very cringy. I guess
Yeah.
because when it's actors, it's even more so because it's like, oh, you gotta do you gotta play the game. Where if it's just some rando that's on a game show, he can only be mildly creepy.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, that's rough. That's such a part of like who he was too. Like that was his style, and women like supposedly really enjoyed it, but it's such a different time.
because you see Lee Merriweather kind of like try and take the offensive on the kissing thing and like kind of be like, oh, this is from my sister, this is from my mother, and this is from me, and don't bother me anymore for the love of God. It's kind of the vibe you get. Okay. Anyway, I will catch you before too long. I'll probably see if you got a Sunday around July or something. I don't know if there's a time that's less busy or more busy on your schedule. But
I mean, Sunday's pretty open. So if you mean earlier in the day, so you could do a Sunday night, that probably would be fine. So just any part of Sunday, but that's really about it.
okay,
Like
so
that's my
this
availability, but it can be different times of Sunday. Does
this
that
is
make sense?
still Sunday now then, right?
Yes, this is 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. So if you wanted to do it 10 hours earlier, I would still be good with it.
Okay,
Um,
that's cool. This is kind of my prime time for this sort of thing, I guess. So I'm
okay,
about to
well
get.
this is perfect for me this time of day. So
Okay, cool. Well, I'm still recording, so I guess I will hit that